To learn functional programming. Why? That's what I want to talk about in this section. One reason is that functional languages are used throughout the computing industry. WhatsApp, the globally used communication infrastructure, is built using Erlang, which is a concurrent functional language. The functional part of it enables the high concurrency applications like WhatsApp. Jane Street is a big financial institution in Wall Street and around the world. They run their entire business using OCaml, which is a functional language, which gets used for infrastructure system programming kinds of applications. Mirage OS, which is used in all sorts of virtualization solutions, is itself also built using OCaml. The language you're talking about in this course is Haskell, and that gets used by a wide range of organizations that want to do high assurance computing. Input Output Global, the company that has built the Cardano blockchain, has built the whole of that chain using Haskell. Galois, a consultancy in the US, have built a whole range of things, including domain-specific languages, where functional programming performs very well to provide solutions for clients, including a language Cryptol for doing cryptographic programming. So all those things, plus many more, are listed in the link you can see here that gives you a whole range of applications of Haskell in industry. So these languages are used, they're not just curiosities. Secondly, they're fundamental to what goes on in computer science. The language Lisp, which gets used for the fundamentals of artificial intelligence, that is in many ways a functional language. And you can see this memo here. This was a description of the Lisp language that was written in 1959, really at the start of computer science. This paper describes a language Miranda, which was a close predecessor of Haskell. You can see that was written 40 years ago. So these languages have been around, the ideas have been around for the most of the history of computer science as we know it. So they're not new, they're not ephemeral ideas, they're ideas that have been around, that prove their value. Functional languages are often at the forefront of innovation, of ideas in more mainstream languages. So for example, Java, it took quite a while in Java's evolution before it had generics. And the generics it included were heavily influenced by what was in languages like Haskell, where what's called polymorphic types, generic types, are fundamental to the way that Haskell works. That was not the case in Java. I think the JVM had to be re-engineered somewhat, but they were so useful, they were so helpful for programming, allowing the same piece of code to be used at different types, because the same code works at those different types, that the Java infrastructure was modified to work with Java generics. And as I say, these came from innovations within the functional world. And functional programming is here to stay. You see books like Functional Programming in C++, how to improve your C++ programming using functional techniques. It's standard that the ideas of functional programming and the actual technology is now part of many mainstream languages. Similarly, books on functional programming in JavaScript. I think JavaScript particularly there are libraries which use key ideas from functional programming, like DDD or 3D, which does data analysis and data science programming. And one thing that happens, one reason it's worth learning functional programming, even if you're never going to program yourself in a functional language or program in the functional part of C++, you become a better programmer. You get a new perspective on the way that you're programming in a traditional language. So, there are reasons, just like when you learn a second language, learn to speak a second language, you get a perspective on how your original language works, you understand where it comes from, and you learn a wider vocabulary, you learn different ways of expressing things. Exactly the same for functional ideas. And you can see this quote from the description of this book. It uses examples, functional examples from Java, Python, C Sharp, Scala, and JavaScript. So a range of widely used languages, all of which incorporate functional programming ideas. So you will learn new things, you'll become a better programmer, you'll be able to put these ideas in practice in functional languages and in more mainstream languages. And I think the last point I would make is it's fun to do, it's fun to work with, and I hope that this course will show you why it's not only useful, but it's fun.